We're going to be here until we answer all of your questions. We are not going anywhere. Okay, so let's get to them. So the first questions are Tam asked, what about Costco saunas? They state very low EMF. Why does one need a high-tech or Heavenly Health or your sauna? So Tam, I can answer that question. Some of the Costco saunas I get concerned about. Some of the cheaper saunas, if they're a wooden sauna, can have pressed particle board that can have glues in them that will off gas when your sauna gets heated up. So you have to be realistic about the price point. If there's a wooden sauna that's $1,000 or $2,000, I would run for the hills. I would not get a sauna that's a wooden sauna at that price point. Because inevitably they're going to be cutting corners and have, like I said, they usually will have particle board that are used. So I don't recommend those. Most of the wooden saunas, like the Sunlighten or the High Tech or the Heavenly are fine. Those are totally fine, but they're very, very expensive, and most people cannot afford a wooden sauna. And that's why I want to have Robbie come on, because the price point of, I negotiated with him for the Myers Detox community. If you look at the offer, it's $1,098. That is an amazing, amazing deal for an infrared sauna. And even some of the other saunas I recommended, like the light bulb saunas, are fantastic, but even those are, upwards of $3,000. And that just isn't, that's not affordable or feasible for a lot of people. So that's why we're talking today with Robbie about Therasage saunas. So I have some questions here. So Bren is saying, I've been using the Therasage infrared sauna for 4 years. It's on the top of my list for restoring and maintaining my health. And I've been stacking by taking as much antioxidants before getting in the sauna. I'm going to start adding ozone therapy to my practice. And are there any considerations when using high-dose vitamin C and ozone? Because Schallenberger says don't take them together, et cetera, et cetera. Are there any things to avoid when using ozone in the sauna?
Well, ozone's a great topic, and I love that stack, as I mentioned in the interview a little bit. Because basically one of the biggest reasons why we age, even naturally age, is because of oxidative stress. As we get older, our body's ability for our blood to actually hold on to the oxygen starts to diminish. We start making less nitric oxide normally, and there's a mechanism that's called the redox molecule. And we make less redox molecules as we get older. So that's why when we're very young, we can recover from acute injuries very quickly or bounce back from getting sick from a cold or a virus or something like that. But as we get older, our abilities to heal and bounce back diminish, mostly because of the lack of oxygen in our blood. So how do we reverse that? Well, certainly ozone is a concentrated oxygen molecule. So you're getting an extra O when you bring that into the sauna. Now, what's really unusual, particularly I want to say about our approach, because we are full spectrum, and the near frequencies will augment the body's ability to make natural nitric oxide. And nitric oxide does two main things. It vasodilates, or it expands the little tiny vessels in your capillaries and so forth in your body, and it triggers your hemoglobin or your blood to grab more oxygen when you make it available. Well, guess what? Ozone is making it more available, more oxygen available, and now we just have to get it into your body somehow. And so clinical grade ozone devices, you can adjust up or down the oxygen concentration. We've taken a very low dose approach because when you combine the ozone or the extra oxygen with nitric oxide, as we do in our Thera 360 sauna, that's creating the near frequencies and bringing this transient gas into your bloodstream, you don't need a lot of extra O in order for you to actually get the benefit, because the blood is already primed to get it. So we just have to get it in. And so what's really great, Wendy, and most people don't realize this, even oxygen therapists, when your skin when you start to perspire and you hydrate your skin becomes almost like a revolving door. You can get the toxins out, but the skin, which is your largest organ, becomes a breathing mechanism, and you can actually bring things in. And so that's why I love like the little device, because it generates just enough extra oxygen when your skin is wet from perspiring. Then you can just easily bring it right in through your skin, right into your bloodstream. So next to your lungs bringing oxygen into your body, the next best way is through your skin. We just need to open up that door, and the sauna is a great way to do that. So that's a brilliant stack, the two of those together.
Okay, fantastic. And Lisa's asking, because some of the people listening already have an infrared sauna, so some of them are wondering, can I use this Ozone device in a sunlightened sauna?
Yeah, most probably yes. Besides Ozone being like caustic to the skin if it's got high concentration, and also to your breathing, it also can degrade some materials. Generally, they're ones that are oil-based, so that could be synthetic materials. I can't speak for all the things that Sunlight uses in their components, but like the rubber insulation around wires, that is basically petroleum-based substance, and Ozone will break that down over time. And so it could wear down some of those elements. And you need to really go to Sunlight and ask them what their suggestion is in terms of their warranty. When we built our Thera 360, we already had in mind we were going to be adding in Ozone, we were going to be adding in essential oils. And so all of our materials are free of the VOCs, and it won't break down the ozone concentrations that we're using.
And Don is asking, is the Ozone device using batteries? Are they rechargeable?
Yeah. It's a small little device I showed you on the interview, the size of it. It uses a lithium smart battery like your cell phones. It's rechargeable. And on the front of it, there are 4 little blue beacon lights that show you exactly when your battery is sort of going down, like after you're using it. There's 2 features. There's the Ozone feature, and there's also a negative ion feature, which is like it's almost like walking along the ocean front or being next to a waterfall, which is great to calm your nerves down if you're anxious or if you're having trouble sleeping at night. You can put the negative ion feature on and have it right on your night table, so it's blowing this negative ion over the pillow and over your head and body, and you absorb that like a sponge, and it's super great. So yeah, it's a rechargeable. So far they've been on the market for close to 4.5, 5 years, and we haven't had a single customer that said that the battery didn't work. So it's really, really made to last.
Okay, great. And everyone, I posted a link here in the chat if you guys want to get just the Ozone device by itself. There's a link for that, because I know some of you guys have infrared saunas already and just want to add some of these cool components we talked about. Are the red LED light panel, is that available for purchase by itself yet, or just with the sauna?
We just made it available. And
okay, great.
In the Thera 360 Plus, it is Velcroed in and integrated in the sauna. Initially, we've had some patients that have called us up that have had really troubling health challenges. And so we have allowed them to actually pull the pads out of the sauna to use on their bodies as, for health reasons. But now we have made it available for you to purchase just the panels themselves. And we can show you how to use them. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just posted a link to that page where you can get the Ozone, the LED lights and everything. And so next question here. So what is the cost of the Ozone device by itself?
It's $150 US. And occasionally we run some specials. I mean, the one that special I'm running with you now for this interview is the best one that we've ever run, actually, because we've got a bundle with the ozone, the water, the EMF remediating device, and the sauna for the price of the sauna. So it's like a almost $1,600 value for a little more than $1,000. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and Robbie, I really appreciate you giving this amazing opportunity, this really good deal to the Myers Detox community. Because one of the reasons I wanted to have you on was because, like I mentioned before, so many saunas are very expensive. Even the red bulb light saunas that I've talked about in the past, you know, they're upwards of $3,000 now. It's a big investment not everyone can make. And so yours is very, very affordable. It's if you guys look here in the chat, you see a little offer. Just click on that link to learn more. And there's a lot of different things that you get with the sauna. You get the ozone device, you get the whole house EMF protector, you get a guide that I wrote, the top 30 infrared sauna tips, and you get the Thera H2O, which is amazing. It's a water filter pitcher. I love it. It filters glyphosate. It has 6 different stages, which is unheard of in a water pitcher filter. And so there's a lot of different components in this package that are going to help you with, you know, every aspect of detox, including infrared sauna use. And so some other questions here. So Karen asks, when do you take a binder, before or after the sauna?
Great question. I'm a binder abuser in a sense, because I take binders all day long. And really, it depends on your activity level. Certainly before sauna, and generally, like I'll give you a special secret about the best way to get the binder in. And you have a great binder, Wendy. What I like to do is take about 1/4 teaspoon and I put it in my drinking bottle, and then I just shake it up. And then the binder becomes suspended in the water, which is called hydrolyzing. Now, rather than glug, 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 like drinking the water down, I sip it. I take a sip, I wait a few seconds, 5, 8 seconds, take another sip. And it's sort of like slowly introducing that binder into your bloodstream, or like time releasing, essentially. And that's the way to get the most binder in your bloodstream, which is sort of like a biosponge. And you want the binder present before you start mobilizing the toxin, because it's sort of like a pitch catch deal, which is Chris Shade's big concept for from Quicksilver. And so it's the idea is that the pitching part is we're mobilizing all your toxins in your body, and the catching part is that you have a binder that's going to grab all these free radicals and all these toxins and make them, you know, bind them up into a bigger format so that it takes stress off of your filtering organs, like you mentioned, your liver, your pancreas, kidneys, large intestine. It just makes it so much easier and more efficient for the body to get it out. Now, you know, if we dial back and generations, we didn't have this toxic environment. We didn't have all this toxic stress on us. And so now these days, all of our organs, to keep us sort of normal each day, absent the sauna, are working overtime day and night. So the longer they're working and stressed like that, the less efficient they get. And so using a binder is terrific. I like doing it about 45 minutes or so before my sauna. But sauna isn't the only way to mobilize toxins. If you get on a rebounder and start bouncing around, you go for a brisk walk or you go for a massage is a great way. I don't know if you've ever had a massage and you felt a little woozy or a little dizzy when you got off the table. That's just liberating toxins. So if you know you're going to do an event, like go for a bike ride or get a massage, throw a little binder in your body to just catch all that poison and help your body get it out. So I'm an active guy, so I do binders all day.
Yeah, I do binder. I love binders too. And they're great to do, you know, if you can do one 30 minutes before a sauna, and that's a fantastic way to, you know, absorb all these toxins you're mobilizing. They're getting into your bloodstream so they don't kind of redistribute somewhere else. You know, your body also has bile. That's your body's binder as well. And so is it the end of the world if you don't take a binder? No, but it will, you might as well do everything you can to optimize your detox. As long as you're taking the time and the trouble and spending the money to do this, it's optimized with a binder. It also dramatically or completely eliminates detox symptoms, Herxheimer reactions like headache and nausea or other things that people experience, when they're mobilizing toxins. They cause little problems. So it's better to take a binder. Yeah. And so other questions here. So Diane, how do you know what temperature to use and for how long? And what should you not do heat-wise?
Wow, that's a great question, but it's generally, my blanketed answer, it's a sort of an individual thing. And besides your amazing ebook that you put out, there's also a quick reference guide deck that I created that's also available through you and Myers Detox, as well as if you contact us. And it's just a 12-page, mostly pictures, so don't get nervous, about best methods to get the best use out of sauna. So what I try to teach people when I'm coaching is to sort of get an awakening or get used to the little doctor inside of you that gives you a signal that you're doing a little bit too much. In America, I don't know if it's just a high school thing or I'm just explaining my age here for today, but I learned no pain, no gain. So we were always pushing the envelope a little bit further than maybe you should do. In infrared sauna, particularly if you're toxic, and most of us are because of our environment these days, we really have to be careful about not pushing it too far. And so, the things that I show in the deck are things like detox, or we call them recovery reactions, or detox symptoms would be like a lightheadedness, dizziness, headache, maybe a little impairment of your vision, lethargy. Usually you feel tired or lethargic maybe an hour or so afterwards. These are all normal reactions when you're detoxing. And so the idea is that if you're very symptomatic, or if you're just feeling generally good, but you want to stay in the sauna, but you're in it for, let's say, 30 minutes, which is usually our normal first goal, is to try to be in it for 30 minutes. It takes about 8 minutes of frequency in the average size adult in order for you to get enough frequency in you to create a physiological event. So a 30-minute session is about 22 minutes of therapy. And because all of us have different levels of toxicity, like I look at you, Wendy, you're stunning, on the outside, but I can't see what's going on you on the inside. None of us can. The only way we know is when we test it. And the way to test it is in sauna reference is by going in and then using it until we start to feel some kind of pushback. And when you do, you respond to that. You don't keep pushing it further, because that's when you can actually, especially for Lyme patients or people that are very fragile or very toxic, they can get that Herx reaction like you mentioned, and then they're feeling achy and sort of flu-like symptoms for days afterwards sometimes. So you can avoid all of that simply by paying attention to your body. When you're in the sauna, if you get a little symptom like that, stop your session, take a look at the time, take a look at the temperature, drink that second glass of water, because that's going to dilute the toxic burden that you just created by stirring up the pond, so to speak. And then usually within 5 or 6 minutes, that feeling, that uneasy feeling starts to go away. And then the next time you do the sauna, you just kind of notice when you get close to that same time and temperature, if in fact you're getting a little pushback. Usually it takes 2 or 3 sessions for you to break through that little toxic barrier, and then you could advance to do a little more time or a little more temperature, depending on what you like to do.
Yeah, and a general rule of thumb is if you start to feel nauseated or lightheaded, it's time to get out. And certainly when I first started doing saunas, I would, reach that point sooner than I do now. And that's okay. Just listen to your body. There's no hard, fast rule. You don't have to stay in for 30 minutes if you don't feel good. And some people, they can only do like 8 minutes. So it's okay. You'll get used to it. You'll acclimate. you'll habituate to it, and you'll work your way up.
Exactly.
Okay, great. And
Great
so,
question.
yes. And so, David, do you ship to Australia and the UK?
Yes. We make everything we make in all of our products. Some of them actually have universal electricity, like the little portable ozone device that can be used everywhere. The diffuser can be used everywhere. But in the saunas, we actually have a version that goes for 220, 240, 50 hertz electric current, which would be New Zealand, Australia, the UK, all the ECU countries in Europe, so forth. So we do make them in both versions. So both colors, both versions, so that people can use them everywhere. We now ship to about 11 countries.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, great. And so Christine Roche. So I'm so sorry, Christine. I know you've asked your question a few times. We're trying to, there's a lot of people with questions, so we're trying to get to everybody. So I vote for answering. What happens to lights on the foot pad when the panels cover it due to extreme heat on the foot pads? So do the rays come up through the foot pads, or what's happening there? They get kind of hot. Is it okay to cover that with a towel?
Yes, in fact, that's what we recommend people do. Everybody, your extremities, your hands and your feet have very sensitive nerve endings. Some people that have diabetes or are a precursor to diabetes, they get what's called neuropathy, where they get either a dullness or a hypersensitivity on these nerve endings. And so because everybody's different, we recommend anyway to put a towel, like a hand towel, over the foot pad, because it absorbs the toxins coming out of the bottom of your feet. And it doesn't take anything away from the infrared frequencies, because infrared frequencies will go through all materials. The only thing that will filter infrared frequencies is latex or silicone. And so, like, if you were to go in sauna and you're wearing that, like the gym stretchy yoga outfits, anything stretchy is generally the latex material, and that will filter, meaning that the frequencies may not penetrate as deep. So usually soft clothing, a towel, just, something that is less absorbent in that way is a better way to go. But on the foot pad, yeah, just put a towel over it. We do have it set up in our system so that it sort of pulses the frequencies through the foot pad. So you may see, the elevation and the decline of temperature throughout your session, and that's just that pulsing technology we put in.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so someone else is asking, sorry, I missed the beginning, but I assume that your head is not inside the sauna. Actually, your head sticks out. It's outside of it. And so if your head's inside the sauna, what are the ramifications of this? Compare the head outside of yours with the head inside some other saunas. And I've talked about this before. I just put a towel over my head to kind of protect my brain from heating up. So I have like this special cap that I wear. So that's an option you can use as a precaution with other saunas. But with yours, your head just sticks right out.
Yeah, and there's really basically three main reasons why we designed it with the head out. The brain cell, or the brain, is much more sensitive to heat than the body is. And so because in the initial concepts and intention when we built the sauna was to help people with chronic challenges, mostly with Lyme disease was our initial focus, we were trying to do what's called raise your core temperature, which is called hypothermia. And it's a very effective method to fight off disease, to fight off parasites, and any microbials actually are very heat sensitive. And so how do I raise your body core and not raise your brain at temperature at the same time? And obviously having your head out, now your head is at room temperature, and your body I can actually elevate without affecting the temperature of the brain. So that's the first reason. A very famous biological dentist in New York was on stage, and he went crazy about our sauna. He goes, "Oh my God, Robbie, there's so many people that have these dental amalgams still that off-gas from the temperature. So metals will expand and contract based on heat and coldness. And so the sauna, if you have those amalgams and you're in a full cabin, there's potential that there could be off-gassing from that mercury, and of course you're absorbing that, and now you're getting a little mercury toxic from that process. So that's the second reason. The third is one that's obvious. Some people actually get a feeling of being confined or claustrophobic from being in a cabin, and when your head is out, you've got the panoramic view of the room that you're in, so you really don't get that feeling of feeling closed in and so forth. So those are the three main reasons.
Okay, fantastic. So do you have Christine Roche is asking, do you have a drainage remedy in addition to the binder? And what are the differences between drainage remedies, which are typically for the lymph, versus a binder?
Okay. Infrared sauna will help. Lymph is a great topic, and it's one of the greatest mechanisms of our bodies to pull toxins out and also to fight off disease. And it sort of works hand in hand as a support system or an infrastructure for our lymphatic system, for our whole immune system support. So what infrared sauna will do, lymph is very viscous, and the way that it operates are there's little nodes, lymph nodes, that are strategically located all over our body. And the way that the lymph system moves and works is basically by the expansion and contraction of our muscles. And so when you exercise a muscle, it actually puts pressure on the lymph node and sort of squeezes the lymph along to its next station or the next node. So the challenge isn't so much for active people, because if they're active, then your lymphatic system is pretty active because you're active. But for the people that have chronic challenges, it's not so easy for them to get around. Some people, are either older and they can't get around as much, or they're bedridden because of their chronic challenge. And so now that same system that worked for you to build your immune system now is kind of not really operating on all 12 cylinders, so to speak, right? So what infrared sauna will do, it actually makes the lymph less viscous, so it's not as thick. And so actually a little bit of movement after using sauna is going to move that lymph a long way, where if you didn't have the sauna, it still would be kind of sticky and stuck and not moving along as much. So that's the way that sauna really will support the lymphatic system.
Fantastic. And someone's asking about different types of binders or how much to take before the sauna. I recommend taking 1 to 2 scoops of my CitraCleanse before, about 30 minutes before the sauna. But the CitraCleanse stays in your body for about 12 hours. So even if you've taken it in the morning, it will still be in your body if you do the infrared sauna at some point during the day. And other binders that will bind on the toxins are activated charcoal. Those are great. Silicas also will do that.
Bentonite clay.
Yeah, bentonite clay, zeolites. Those are all fantastic binders that you can rotate as well if you like. And so Emma said, I would never live without an infrared sauna. I agree, Emma. I couldn't live without mine. Once you start doing one, you feel so much better because there's so many different benefits. For me, I just could not live without one. I absolutely could not. And not only that, because I firmly believe that people that are using infrared saunas, based on the research that we have out there on all the many different benefits and how increasingly toxic our world is becoming, that the people using infrared saunas are the ones that are going to be living longer, healthier, disease-free, medication-free lives. And that's why I talk a lot about infrared saunas, because there's so many benefits. And I love that, Robbie, I love your brain. I love that you're an inventor and taking things to the next level. I've talked to you for hours and hours and hours about this, but you're always trying to think about different components and things you can add to the sauna to maximize your time and kind of stack all these different protocols that you're doing so you can maximize the detox benefits of an infrared sauna.
Thank you. Thank you for the compliment. We're different than other companies, Wendy, because first off, we care. And secondly, not to say that others don't, but I'm the co-founder and device developer. And I have a medical background, an engineering background, a business background, and a life experience working with my daughter and other chronically challenged people for more than 22 years. And so when you have that perspective, it's like I will not compromise anything to bring the best affordable sauna on the planet to the people because it's so important. I mean, my belief is that every household in America should have it. And I mean, we're living in strange times now with COVID and so forth. And, certainly, having a sauna to be shared in a family when we're in closer contact now is, great for everybody's health. And it's just a great lifestyle practice to just have for now and for you to use sort of forever moving forward. So there's a few things that are not going to change right away. And one is the planet, unfortunately, right now is very polluted. There's the environmental toxins. It's in our food, in our air, in our water. And we're biofilters. We're just catching all these things through our natural daily process. And we catch them, and we need to be able to have a really great detox mechanism in place in order to get rid of these things as quick as we bring them in. And the sauna is great, using binders are great, and staying active. And this is really I think the primal formula for us to really live out our dreams in a healthy way.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I talk so much about infrared saunas. I really want everyone to get a sauna today. If you're on the webinar and you have not gotten a sauna yet, you're kind of been on the fence or thinking about it, the Therasage sauna is the most affordable sauna on the market today. And, I can't recommend it enough. And Robbie so generously added a lot of different components to it as well. And you have payment plans. So you guys can do payment plans as well. There's details about that as well on this page I'm going to send you to. So I'm going to do a screen share here so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. If you click the link, there's a comment that I made here. It's learn more about Robbie's Therasage sauna. Just copy and paste that link or click on it in another browser and you'll come to this page right here. But I wanted to talk about this little package here that Robbie is so generously offering. So this is the whole Therasage 360 plus sauna. And so you get this sauna right here. You can get it in white or black. You can choose once you get on this page. And you get the Ozone, which is, the little white kind of cell phone looking gadget right here. That's the Ozone machine that's going to be inside the sauna when you're using it. You get the Thera H2O, which is this water pitcher here as well. So this little water pitcher here, it's the Therasage H2O, the 6-stage filter, you get that. You get this little plug-in device. It's the Thera Protect. It's an EMF whole house protector. And you get my top 30 infrared sauna tips. So a lot of tips on how to use the infrared sauna, things we're talking about today. And you get all of that for $1,098. That is an unbelievable deal. You can make payments and you can choose black or the white sauna. It's a little there's a nice sheen to it as well. It's fantastic. So if you haven't gotten a sauna yet, this is the sauna that I recommend to anyone who's kind of working on a budget. But if you had bought a sauna before from various webinars that I've had, they're all good saunas. They're all fantastic. There's nothing, you can get into these sauna components, the ozone or the red lights. We're talking about that today, and you can put those in your sauna as well. So don't worry. This is just a new one I'm recommending that's affordable. But any of the saunas that I recommend, I still continue to recommend that, in talking to Robbie and meeting him last year, I was really impressed with the Ozone device that he talks about, that he invented, and the red light panels, which are, give different benefits over and above like the red light bulb saunas I've talked about in the past. They're different wavelengths. So don't worry about the other saunas are great, but this is just has some really cool components and very affordable. I know some people were asking about that as well. So let's get back to some of these questions. Can you use the Ozone machine even if you have asthma?
Actually, it's a pretty good question. I'd start off low and slow, because generally people that have asthma or any kind of breathing challenges, they already got some restriction before that, before they even bring ozone into the picture. And as I mentioned earlier, all forms of ozone will act like an irritant on your skin or certainly on your breathing pathways. We happen to make one that is probably the most breathable format. So it's a very low dose. But if I had asthma, I would, certainly keep a little bit further distance from the device for my direct inhalation. If you're using it in the sauna and you have it on the floor, as we recommend, then you're perfectly fine, because most of that ozone is going to be absorbed through your skin, and you really won't be breathing it. So through your nose to get that extra, inhalation part. You can certainly, we have a terry cloth collar that comes around your neck in this portable format. And so there is a little bit of gap between your neck and where the collar fits. So you can take like a bath towel, a hand cloth towel, put that around your neck to fill that gap, so more of the ozone stays in the sauna and less will escape, potentially for you to breathe. But the beautiful thing about the body is that if it doesn't like it, you're just going to start to cough a little bit. You know that you've gotten a little too much, so either turn it off or don't do it for as long of a treatment time.
Okay, fantastic. So we have so many questions here, guys. We're going to try to get to all of them. So we're probably going to be here for about 3 hours, but we're going to do our best, okay? Okay, so Edie is asking, can we use the red light device for hair loss? I have heard of it being used for hair loss before. And how far should we put the panel from our bodies?
Okay, great question. Yes, it is just great for hair loss. There are some technology that's out there, and actually my wife's niece's husband was a young man, like in his late 30s, and he was experiencing what he considered premature hair loss and got real nervous about it. And so he bought this technology. It sort of looks like a baseball cap, and it has red light therapy inside of the cap. And he wears that with a kind of a Rogaine type supplement. And the two things together, I couldn't believe it. I see him once a year. And so the last time I saw him, his hair was clearly thinning. And then this last trip that I saw him less than a month and a half ago, he had a full head of hair, and he was so proud of himself, So in fact, red light therapy is wonderful for hair loss. It really depends on why you're losing your hair, because some people, it's genetic disposition, sometimes it's hormonal shifts in the body. So you really have to look at that. But there's been, for hair loss and for TBI, which is a traumatic brain injury, the red light therapies are having amazingly great results.
Fantastic. So, and yeah, I agree. Red light therapy is great for hair loss. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just going to say 21 minutes is the treatment time. So you can take the panel and just put it over your scalp for about 21 minutes every day, and that's the suggested use.
Okay, great. And is EMF pollution a concern in your sauna? So that's a big question that a lot of people have, a lot of concerns about EMF these days.
Yeah, EMF is a problem for all of us. So we have been remediating, blocking, shielding EMF for almost 15 or 16 years now. It started on a simple notion. I just didn't want the body, your body, to be conflicted between EMF frequencies, which are exogenous, man-made frequencies, and or the beautiful sunlight extraction, the infrared that we're bringing in. And so they do act, they counteract one another. So effectively, when you're in a sauna that has EMF, the body's protecting itself from the EMF, so it won't allow you to get all the full benefits of the infrared. And so knowing that, or at least having that notion 15 years ago, of course, I wasn't forward thinking enough that the cell phone industry would blow up and 5G and cell towers everywhere. I'm thinking that far ahead. I was just thinking that I needed to take the conflict off the table. And so if I remediated the EMF side, then you just get the beauty of natural infrared frequencies. And that was my notion. So we block and we shield, and we've been doing that very effective. But the problem with that, Wendy, is that blocking and shielding is sort of a reactive response. They come out with 3G, you dial up the shielding, and then as soon as you get everything integrated, they come out with 4G. And now it's 5G, and soon it'll be 7, and then it'll be 10. And so what we've done just recently in the last 14 months, 18 months, it's actually, the studies have gone on longer than that, but it takes a while before you actually perfect things, was to come out with harmonizing technology. So now we block, we shield, and we harmonize in all of our devices. And harmonizing actually works on building your body field. And so it sort of is a shield around us that basically when EMF touches that shield, the shield collapses if you don't harmonize. When you have harmonizing technology, it supports that shield. And so now you've got, extra batteries, you've got extra life forces to support your immune system and take that stress off. So we actually do three things now. The harmonizing part is the latest adventure or invention. In our bundle, we actually are giving away one of the home harmonizers that actually will create that signal that will cover more than 2,000 square feet of a linear plane. So if you've got a split level home, you may need one for the second level, but on one level, it'll cover around 2,000 feet. And that again is designed to protect your biofield, your own natural energy field that is set up to protect you. So I think EMF is a problem. I think 5G is a problem. The science, the bioscience is too new for us to really understand about all the negative aspects of it. And I think as time forward, there'll be more research in that area, so we'll all be more informed. But my intuitive sense as an inventor is that if we can do something to protect ourselves and our families, especially the young kids, I'm super sensitive to the 0 to 18-year-olds because basically their neural pathways, all the dots connected in their neurological systems have not been fully formed yet. And you can only imagine if your brain is trying to grow and you're an infant, you're 5 days old, and you're in a room where there's all these EMFs, there's now all these other frequencies swirling around, and it could do nothing but confuse the body and the brain. And for that reason, that some of those dots aren't going to get connected properly. And I think that explains why we see rises in autism and ADHD and a lot of the different kind of neurological related challenges we're seeing these days. I think it's activated by the exogenous frequencies like EMF and extreme low frequencies like ELF and so forth. And so we're working hard to just stay in front of the technology, because honestly, the money is in the faster networks. People are drawn to faster networks so they can game faster when they're playing games, and they can their cell phones, and they can process things on their computers faster. And so they don't understand that there could be a negative health effect that's attributed to that technology. And I think part of our responsibility, part of your responsibility, Wendy, is to sort of bring educated people on interviews to sort of enlighten them as to the possible, negative biology effects and so forth.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think it's really important to be paying attention to the EMF output of any sauna that you get, because some of them have very alarming amounts of EMF that they emit. So you have to be very aware of that, especially some of the cheaper ones that you buy. It's better to get an infrared sauna with some sort of EMF mitigation or low EMF output, etc. So I'm glad, Robbie, that you're paying attention to that. And so, Donna said, I've had my Therasage sauna for over a year. A lot of Therasage fans here that are wanting to get some more info. And so my naturopath friend saw it last week and was very excited. She ordered hers this week. Great. So some other questions here. What are the requirements for the sauna, like as far as space? Is there anything involved with the installation of it?
No, no. Well, it folds up first off. So, when we first started making saunas 20 years ago, we made wooden ones. We still make wooden ones. But as an inventor, I try to leave my ego out. I have intentions when I make devices and I make inventions. But basically, when we made the wooden saunas, what I got was pushback. And the pushback I got was from the person that has $1 million apartment on Park Avenue in New York City. It's not very spacious, maybe 700 square feet. They need the sauna for health reasons, but they virtually have no space for it. So here, right away, okay, I need to figure out how to make a sauna that is space saving. The other thing I heard was, well, I live in Minnesota, I've got a big basement and I've got no problem with space, but I have a problem with money. And generally the wooden saunas are usually a little bit more money. The good ones could be $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, as you know. And so how do I make a sauna that's space saving and less or around $1,000? That was my goal. And that's where I came up with this portable format.
Fantastic. So you can travel with it. You can travel with the sauna.
Oh yeah, people. Yeah. You can fold it up. It can go under your bed or in a closet. It uses regular 110 house current, so there's no electrical. You don't need to rewire your home or put a bigger fuse in or anything like that. It's really just a plug and play. You take it out, you unfold it, you plug it in, you hit a button, and you're flying the plane.
It's super easy. Believe me, I have a lot of saunas. I've had to, unpack them and to plug them in, and this is the easiest installation that you could ever imagine. It's the easiest of any sauna out there. So, okay, and so next question here. So someone's asking about like costs of sending packages, internationally. That's beyond the scope of this presentation. You can contact Therasage for any questions on taxes or duties or et cetera like that. So what is the support email, Robbie, for people can email if they have questions and we're also not answering any questions that are not about infrared saunas. So we just want to stay focused. A lot of people are asking various questions. So just out of respect for everyone's time, we're only answering infrared sauna questions. But where do we email if you have to answer all these different questions that people have?
Right. The easiest way is just info, INFO, at Therasage, spelled THERASAGE.com.
Fantastic.
And
fantastic.
We do have a switchboard, so you can leave a voicemail. We do offer complimentary time with our healthcare experts. So you can carve out 15 minutes, to learn special tips, or if you've got a circumstance, a health challenge that you want to know the best way to use our sauna to help alleviate that challenge, you can call in, make an appointment, and then one of our experts will get on. I'm often on that hotline because I love talking to people and trying to really get down to helping them as best as I can. And so just, come on, you can get on the calendar that's right on our website. And then you can see other things that we're offering, information, blogs, and, we're constantly updating our website.
Okay, fantastic. And so we're going to give everybody a link if you want to get some components, if you don't want the whole sauna package, but you want the ozone or the lights or the EMF protector or the Therapitcher or anything we talked about, there'll be a link for you guys to get that as well, and 10% off to boot. And so next question here, how high is the ozone output of the O3? And is the material of the older model Therasage sauna compatible with ozone? That's from Suzanne.
Okay, so it depends on how far back when they say older, because we've been making portable saunas for many years. The Thera 360s are all approved and good. The model that preceded the 360 will still be good with the ozone. The ozone device itself puts out 750 milligrams per cubic inch per hour of ozone, which is an enormous amount for a little device. And it's really designed for a small room, a small cabin, like the sauna or a bathroom. I use it all the time, Wendy. I mean, I use it certainly in the sauna. That was our initial intention. But I take it out. I bring it into my office. I bring it in the car. And when I travel, I bring it to the hotel room. If you're on an airplane, you can just have the ozone device in front of you. It'll clean all the airborne bacteria and viruses. And so this is a really great way, particularly in a small confined room, or that the air might be recycled, that you can actually help yourself along with it. So yeah, it's for the little device, it really is a powerhouse.
Yeah, fantastic. So I am sending you guys a little link right now. If you guys want to get just the ozone device or the red light EMFs, you can do that. The red light LEDs, rather, you can do that here. And so Marisol is asking, how many times a week is sauna safe to do?
Wow. I usually, when I get that question, I like to sort of play with it a little bit, and I ask the person asking, how many times a week or how many days a week do you get toxic? Yeah. So if Marisol is living in a place that she gets toxic Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then tell me where that is, because I want to move there right away. But basically, it's really just a funny way to say that I like to use the sauna every day. I think it's a great practice and routine. I'm not asking for very much time. Usually in 30 minutes, you can do a great job. Certainly, if you've got symptoms and you've got a chronic illness, it may take longer for your body to kick back into full gear. But if you're basically feeling pretty good and you're just looking for optimal health, 30 minutes a day is really all you need to sort of stay even with the environment that we're living in these days. And so I'm not asking for an hour. If I asked you, Wendy, because I know you're booked out, like from the minute you get up to the minute, I don't even know how you get all the stuff done in a day. So the point being is that we can all spare 30 minutes for the benefits. And the nice thing about the portable sauna, there's got these two little zippers, so you can bring your hands out, so you can kind of multitask if you want to answer emails. My wife, when she's using it, she has a little keyboard stand, and she puts her laptop and she's typing away and keeping up with the customers and so forth. And so you can certainly combine activities with the sauna. Personally, I like to be solemn. I do it very early in the morning. I usually set my intentions. I pray. I'm grateful for, and I set my intentions, what my goals are for the day, and that's my private time. So I use that time then, and the best time to do it is the earliest part of the day, like when you first get up.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I agree. Because for some people, the sauna is stimulating.
Yes.
Other people, it's relaxing. It affects different people differently. So sometimes you start releasing toxins that kind of stimulate you a little bit. So everyone's just a little bit different. I like to do mine first thing in the morning when I wake up, get my little detox on when I wake up in the morning, and then I'm good to go the rest of the day and have like that rosy. Yeah.
Get the blood moving,
Yes.
You're right. Get the body in motion. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, and I want that rosy, like high pro glow. That's what I want too. Oh wait, that's a dog food commercial. Never mind. Okay. So Jessica's asking, how long is the offer good for? I want to get one for my house in Florida, but I can't get there because of COVID. I've been using your sauna for years. I love it. So this offer is going to be good for a couple of weeks. So just, we want to give you some time to, take advantage of it, think about it. So don't worry about it. You can click the link anytime here that I broadcasted, no problem. So don't worry about that. So I'll broadcast this link again to you guys. Let me do that again really quick here. So don't worry about it. You'll be able to get your sauna. They're not going to sell out. There's plenty of them. So I'll broadcast this link again to the room. And so there you go, right there. Okay. So Jenny, do we need to stay in the sauna for about an hour to raise our core body temp to kill off parasites, bacteria, etc.? What is your advice on that?
It's a good question, actually. It really depends on your BMI and how quickly your metabolism adjusts. So generally, the protocols for parasites, bacteria, viruses, heavy metal detox, it's usually a longer and a hotter treatment time per session. The key to this, Wendy, and people don't really understand that the infrared sauna, it looks kind of innocent, but it's really not. It's a medical device. We're harnessing natural sunlight to mobilize all the toxins in your body. Okay, so I think that raising your core temperature, being in it for a longer time frame, it's sort of like, imagine if I was your swimming coach. You never swam before. And I took you to the pool and I threw you into the deep end without any kind of life preserver or anything like that. And I said, Wendy, I'll see you later. I'm going to go get a coffee or a tea or something, and I'll be back in a half hour. Meanwhile, you're like number one, number two, going down, So I start off low and slow. I want you to start off basically for the first 2 weeks with very realistic intermittent goals, and then fine tune your body's physiology and sort of like the more fragile you are, I would be just putting your toe in the water so that you'd feel the depth, you'd feel the temperature, your body would get acclimated and you wouldn't feel scared, and then slowly but surely we would move you into the deep end of the pool. And before you know it, and generally it's like a 4, maybe 6 weeks at most time frame where you can basically be in the sauna for that 45 minutes to an hour time frame at the hotter temperatures. So most people, they, especially if you got a chronic challenge, you're so sick of feeling sick, right? That once you start feeling better from infrared sauna, you want to do it. And so I spent a lot of time coaching people with chronic challenges to just slow down. You got sick over a long period of time. You're not gonna unwind that in just overnight. And so going slow and methodical is really the answer. And so, it's kind of simple, but you got to use some common sense about it and understand the rules and be conscious of that little doctor inside of you when it's pushing back and saying, I've got a little headache or I'm feeling a little nauseous. That's the sign that you've done a little too much. Drink that extra glass of water, get that extra hydration in, dilute down that toxic burden, and then just hit it again later on or the next day.
Okay, fantastic. So Joanna and Emma are asking, should one cool down with a cold shower afterwards? And should you shower right after your sauna? I personally can't imagine not taking a shower after my sauna. I do like the 50-yard dash. I try to run as fast as I can to walk, because all this stuff just came out of my skin and you start kind of drying off really fast. I run to the shower as quickly as possible to shower all this garbage off.
Well, it's again a great question, and it's really personal choice, like personal hygiene. Some people, like you're expressing, they got to just beeline right to the shower. Our sauna is very unique, and there are all of these other frequencies swirling around, from the tourmaline and the shungite, and we use natural jade stone. There's many different frequencies that are in there. what I do personally is I set my session, usually it's around 45 to 50 minutes. And then after the sauna, I stay in the sauna for another 8 minutes, allowing all those other frequencies to just absorb into my body while my vessels are dilated, my metabolism is accelerated. So now I've got everything going and cooking and so I just want all that stuff in me, you know? What I recommend is that you towel up. You put a towel over the chair, a towel over the foot pad, and I usually use like a washcloth, and I'm constantly wiping the sweat off my body.
I did too.
And so the towel holds the toxins or the sweat that's in your toxins. And so basically when I come out, yes, I'm dripping, and I come out and usually I wait close to 20 minutes or so. So between 8 minutes and another 10 minutes, I make a tea, I have my other water. We have a little pool outside, so sometimes I jump into the pool rather than showering, or I jump in the shower. But usually for me, it's about 20 minutes or so afterwards, because once you jump in that shower, even if it's a hot shower, Wendy, it's not as hot as the frequencies that are resonating inside of you. And so you start to shut down your vessels, they constrict. So when you're in the sauna, they expand. That's called vasodilation. When you shower, or you jump into a cold pool of water or whatever, it shrinks those vessels back to normal size. And so then your metabolism comes back down to its normal rate. So if you want that afterburn, like you probably heard of that when you go to the gym and you run, and then your heart's still going, your metabolism's still going. So that burns more calories and you get more benefit, you know? So I try to kind of like extend that if my daily schedule could permit.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, and sometimes I feel a little bit lightheaded when they're cooking the chicken a little too long, and so sometimes afterwards I have to just like lay down and just kind of recover for a minute, and that's perfectly okay too as well. And so Jenny is asking, do we need to replenish our body with electrolytes after using the sauna? And I drink coconut water afterwards. I really feel like that's, nature's Gatorade, and that really hydrates you. I drink one that's raw, that has not been, heated or pasteurized. And so, but I also take tons and tons of minerals and healthy salt, but there's many ways to rehydrate and to replete minerals. What is your take on that, Robbie?
It's very super important. Sweating, you're not just sweating toxins out, you're sweating electrolytes and trace minerals. Most of us get through our food sources, we can get some of the trace minerals back, but depending on how often you're using it and how much you sweat will determine whether or not how much you have to put back in. So prophylactically, at least twice a week, I take trace minerals, which is also, you can do smart water. I also add a little sodium, particularly during the summer. I'll put in a little bit more sodium in my diet, a good salt like a Himalayan salt, or I use a pink salt or Celtic salts that have not been over-processed. And so I'll add salt back in, which also helps your cells to hold more water. And that's a super important thing, Wendy, because I'm sure you probably know that we're a nation that drinks a lot of water, but most of our water isn't bioavailable. And so on a cell level, we're not really hydrated properly. And so that's an important factor with sauna. And so it's really important to drink before and after. And yes, it's super important to, at a minimum, twice a week, to put electrolytes back in and salts.
Okay, fantastic. And so Anne is asking, I'm confused why you might want to add the red light panels. So you're talking about the red LED light panels that are inside of the sauna. She might have tuned in late. That's okay. But other people may have this question.
Yeah. Well, I kind of talked about my experience at Hippocrates, and what started bothering me a little bit was I'm staring at this mural of Hippocrates. I've been teaching there for like 15 years. And one of his mantras was food is your medicine. But then I started to think, the food of Hippocrates' day isn't the food of today. when you can go to the food store, and this is nothing against people that like Twinkies, but if you can go to a food store or like a truck stop and buy a Twinkie that's got a shelf life of 500 years, there's something just not right about that in my mind. And when I equate that, I kind of look at the environment. Today's environment is very different than the environment of 200 years ago, of Hippocrates' day, And so the point being is that what we're seeing in clinic is pretty dramatic. We have women that are 14 coming in testing sterile. We have guys less than 18 years old that have low levels of testosterone. That is what is called epigenetic shifts, meaning the environment has now changed the physiology of the individual. And so what we're seeing is really very alarming, Wendy, because we're not only seeing very high, steep trends of all the major diseases, but what's really dramatic is that the ages that people are getting sick are coming down, okay? And so that's really not good. And so when I look at all of that, I started to think that our prior formula for the Thera360 was just following nature's cocktail. The same certain amount of near, certain amount of mid, certain amount of far, just as the sun delivers it, as it did in the days of Hippocrates 200 years ago. But today's environment, you actually need a little bit more near frequency in order to produce nitric oxide, support mitochondrial stress, bring more oxygen into our blood that'll offset parasites, candida, problems with microbes, Lyme disease, things like that. And so today's environment, I believe you need a little bit more than what nature has delivered to us in its normal cocktail. Hence, we make the Thera360 Plus that has the red light and the tri-light panels, which is hand-picked frequencies that are uniquely great in enhancing that part of your physiology.
Okay, fantastic. So another question here. So Sheila, what are the differences in regards to the health benefits between the red LED lights, the near infrared versus far infrared lights? This is a very common question that people have. A lot of people, they don't know the difference between infrared and LED panels that you've added to your sauna.
Yeah. In the past, I wasn't really a very big fan of LED lights simply because the diodes themselves, unless they're powered properly, they don't generate enough photon energy to penetrate through your skin to actually get into the cell. And that I was challenged by that. Most LEDs are what's called monochromatic. That means you have a single bulb or a single diode that has a single frequency. And what many of the companies out there, and some of them are really super great companies, what they do is they create a cocktail by having a one row of one frequency LED, another row of another frequency LED. And so I went to my engineering side of me, and then we developed the tri-light system, which is one diode that has 3 frequencies in them. And so we can deliver in 117 light diodes 3 times more the photon energy that a single diode can put out. And so that's very unique in itself. Infrared is an invisible spectrum, so you can't see it. We do have the red light that we added because there are great attributes for skin enhancement, for brain enhancement in red light therapy without any drawbacks. And the other 2 frequencies which are invisible that we incorporate are everything from the 600 nanometer all the way out to the high 900 nanometers. And in that range, there are certain frequencies that are just amazing for helping your body heal. And so we added that in without changing any of the other elements in our 360 to make the 360 Plus. And we didn't charge anything more than the cost of those panels. And so for all of the viewers out there, if you have the regular 360 and you bought it a few years ago, we've actually made an upgrade kit for the same cost, just $200, to upgrade that little older version to the 360 Plus version. We're just doing that for really a limited time, maybe for the next 6 months or so that everybody can catch up. Because I don't know if you've ever had this experience. I bought an iPhone once a week before they were doing an upgrade, and I didn't know, and the salesman didn't say, why don't you wait a week? You get the later version for the same money. And it really made me angry. So I said, if you have one of my saunas and you didn't realize that for a couple $100 more, you could get this upgraded version, I wanted to make it available for people that have a little older version that they can upgrade at the same cost and get all the benefits.
Okay, fantastic. So another question here. So Nancy, have you heard of phase 2 liver detoxification? I certainly hope so. And will your sauna help with that?
Yeah, of course it will. Yeah. It takes the burden off of the liver, and it breaks it all up. It actually helps break up all of the sludge in the sense that the liver has accumulated in its own process of filtering. And I do, by the way, recommend, depending on how toxic you are, to try to do a liver cleanse at least twice a year, maybe even once a quarter. And if you're doing an active detox with the infrared sauna, also work a liver cleanse into that rotation. So the more you use sauna, the less toxic you are. The less toxic you are, the less burden on your liver. And so, a healthy liver and a healthy kidney, without that, we basically can't really live a healthy, life. And so both of those areas have to be worked on. And in the beginning, if you're really toxic, then, you do the sauna, you wait a little bit, you detox your liver, then you get less toxic, then you do more sauna, then you can spread out your liver detox a little bit because your body's going to be running more efficiently because you're basically doing sauna, once a day, hopefully.
Fantastic. So Jean had said, someone said that it is best not to use far infrared and red and near infrared at the same time, but separately. Are there any drawbacks to incorporating the red and the near infrared to use in the Therasage sauna at the same time?
Well, no, we are doing it all at the same time. Maybe I misunderstood the question. There is some controversy about near versus far. But, we've just adopted sort of the nature's playbook. And I believe that nature, our higher power, created infrared with 3 spectrums, or full spectrum with 3 wavelengths for a reason. We all can benefit from all of them.
Yeah, that's how that's what the sun does. It has mid, near, and far infrared
Exactly. And we're living in a sort of a pharmaceutical psychology world where they drill it down to this microscopic approach, like, well, we're going to dissect out the mids and the fars and just do the near, and this is why. And most of the reasons in the research is accurate. But I think that you're leaving a lot on the table when you don't incorporate, all of the frequencies. And I think that everybody can benefit from each frequency in different ways. And so we're still kind of sticking to our guns about the full spectrum approach.
Okay, fantastic. So Ellen said, I tuned in late. Does this sauna include both deep red as well as near infrared in combination, and at what wavelengths? I believe certain peak wavelengths are more beneficial than others.
That's true. There are, and that's why we cherry picked one in the 600 series, one frequency in the 800 series, and one frequency in the 900 series for that reason. We've tested them. We've tested them in research, and we've also tested them in clinic for a long time before we actually came up with the mix that we liked, and that's what we're working with now.
Okay, fantastic. And so the next question here, are there any concerns for people who have hard arrhythmias using a sauna? Yeah,
well, we work with many very famous cardiologists, and they love the sauna, particularly if they're doing any kind of open heart surgery, because it's the most passive way to rejuvenate the heart by using infrared for 2 reasons. One, it's vasodilating, that makes it less stressful for the heart to pump, and the heart's a muscle. And so how do we get the heart to continue to keep its strength when you're in repair after a surgery, like a heart surgery, a valve or a stint when they put in a stent. And so, yeah, now arrhythmias, you know, it's a heart rhythm that's not perfect. And there are many reasons why you have arrhythmias. We have had customers that have had arrhythmias. Sometimes they use defibrillators. Sometimes there's pacemakers that are installed. There, I saw earlier that one of the viewers asked a question about, can you use the sauna with if you have a pacemaker, an implant? And there the answer is yes, because we don't give out any electromagnetic fields that might interrupt the signal from those implants. But the body, we have had customers and patients that have their hearts have come back to natural rhythm once they have started using the sauna. We do start off low and slow. If you already know you have that condition, then we just take it easy. You know, we see how your body responds. If you get a little anxious because you're feeling that your heart is beating a little bit faster, then we might stop, drink that water, then either get back in the session a little later that day or wait until the next day and start again.
Okay, fantastic. And is there, CI is asking, is there a warranty on the sauna, and is there a money-back guarantee period?
Sure. We start off with a month. We stand behind all of our products. We pride ourselves on our customer service. We do have a bumper-to-bumper full warranty for a full year. But if you have the sauna, it's not working for you, we think that the first month is certainly enough time for you to determine whether it's good for you or not. We do offer free coaching and service so that you can call up if you have questions, and we can help you get acclimated or give you your best our best hints as to the ways that you can use it to get the most benefits. And we stand behind our products. All you have to do is just keep the original box, keep the original paperwork, take care of it, like as if you were not going to keep it until you decide that you will. And then after warranty is over, we still are very strong about our products, so we're supporting them. We generally will just repair for the cost of the actual part that needs to be sent out to you. Another thing that's unique about our sauna, Wendy, is that this design in the 360, every part of the sauna is plug and play. And so when we were having customers in Bali or New Zealand or Australia with our older version, the one we made 10 years ago, they have a problem and let's say they have a chronic challenge. It takes a week for the sauna to get to us, a week to repair it, a week to get it back. So if you're become dependent on the sauna to maintain your health, as many of our patients and customers have over the years, you don't want to be out of pocket 3 weeks. Right now, the sauna we make today, if a part fails, on a 2-minute phone call, we could determine what part you need, FedEx it to you, no matter where you are in the world. And in 2 days, you could pull out the old part, put in the new part, and be back on track. So it's a big difference. There isn't a single portable sauna out there that can make that claim.
Okay, fantastic. So next question here. So remains the invitation talked about do's and don'ts of the infrared sauna. Can you talk about some do's and don'ts with your sauna? Any contraindications with the sauna? Maybe people who shouldn't use it?
Well, that's actually a good question, and I struggle with that one only because I can't seem to find very many people that don't qualify to get some benefit from the sauna. Even in our user guide, there are warnings and there are cautions, and most of them, because we're guided by FDA, the language will say, for instance, if you're pregnant, don't use sauna. There isn't really any science that says you can't use it, but common sense will drive you to think that if you're just about to deliver, it may not be the best device to be using at that point. But certainly in the earlier parts of your pregnancy, it might be great. And certainly after you deliver, then you're back on track. And the sauna will be great to catalyze you to get back into shape and so forth. Let me see. High blood pressure and low blood pressure, as we mentioned earlier, the sauna will create vasodilation. So if you have high blood pressure, it'll bring your pressure down naturally. Now, if you're taking hypertensive medication and you take that right before you get in sauna, which will stabilize or bring your pressure down, and you get in sauna and that brings your pressure down, we wouldn't advise that. So it's really not a contraindicator, but it kind of makes sense that I wouldn't take my pressure medication before I went into sauna. And we have had many cases of customers that were hypertensive. They've been told by their practitioner that they're going to be on blood pressure medication for the rest of their lives. And because they're in sauna and they start to get that relationship of vasodilation, the expansion and contraction of their vessels, that their pressure starts to normalize and they come off their medication, which is just fantastic. Now, the converse, if you have low blood pressure and the sauna brings your pressure down, what we recommend is that the customer will add more sodium to their diet and drink extra amount of water to try to create a little bit more volume in their blood so that they won't really feel that drop in their pressure at all. But, globally, there are really a lot of contraindicators, mostly the infrared sauna and natural infrared light as it comes to the earth is really one of the best natural health platforms that's available today.
Ellie is saying, my dad has a hip replacement. Can he use an infrared sauna?
Absolutely. So all implants that are basically within 20 years or younger. So from today, going back around 20 years, the new materials they're using are titanium for the metals, and any of the other materials are not. They will not interact negatively, or infrared will not interact negatively with it. Prior, they used titanium and they used stainless and staples and screws and things like that for bone repair. If you've ever been in an accident or broke a bone in a place that needed that, those metals are perfectly fine. So the only one time that we've had a question about that was a veteran came back from the war and he had a piece of shrapnel in his body. And we couldn't quite figure out whether or not that metal would react. And so all we told him to do is take a really strong magnet and put it near where the shrapnel is and just see if he feels a drawing sensation. And that metal probably wouldn't be good for infrared sauna. But other than that, we're basically good there.
Okay, great. Yeah, and any contraindications for children? Ashley is asking, is there an age restriction for infrared sauna use?
Great question. And I guess the best way to answer that is little people, whether they're children or just little people, their metabolisms respond much quicker to infrared frequencies than big people. And so we have protocols for children. If they're toddlers, and we've had customers that wanted to take their toddler into the sauna with, and they're holding them. And so I just thought, like, oh my God, like if my mother took me in the sauna and she was holding me next to her while we were experiencing that together, what an amazing bonding experience, right? But let's just say we've got a 4-year-old, average size, all the way up to, teenager or adolescent ages. Certainly we could have a 14-year-old that's 6 feet tall or 4'10". Usually 5 feet, around 100 to 110 pounds is the crossover. So under 110 pounds or 5 feet, we're a little bit more careful. And generally the protocol would be sort of half the time. So if an adult was going in for 30 minutes at 130 degrees, which is our initial goal. Then a child, by the way, you don't leave a child unattended. And if they can articulate, if they can speak, then tell them, if you know good, just like let me know. Like, you want to be in the room with a sort of a lazy eye on the child to make sure that they're not overheating. Of course, they have to hydrate. So where an adult would be 8 to 10 ounces, a child might be 4 to 6 ounces in a sippy cup. And they can do the sauna. That I just have them at 100 degrees or maybe 105, 110 degrees. And I would do it for maybe 15 to 20 minutes, something about half. And again, they can always call in. I can give them a fine-tuned protocol based on what the health challenges of the child or what the goals are for the family.
Okay, fantastic. And so Brooke is asking, what if you don't really sweat much? Is it still working, or is it detrimental even? Laura says, after 30 minutes, I'm barely sweating. Can I stay in longer? And this happened to me when I first started using saunas. I didn't sweat. And I thought, what is going on? It's just so hot in the sauna, and I'm hardly sweating. But it was really because my skin was clogged. I think people, their sweat mechanisms are not working properly. Their skin, we're slathering all kinds of garbage on it, thinking it's healthy and moisturizing. And our pores get clogged, and our sweat mechanisms don't work that well. And that's what's great about a sauna, is you get that your skin unclogged. You start getting the sweat mechanisms going, but it can take a minute. It takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, and the number one reason why people have challenged sweating, and I always, for some reason, over the years, it seems to be more common among women. The number one reason is dehydration. People think that they're drinking water, but it's not they are drinking water, but they think that it's actually soaking in or sticking inside them or actually hydrating the cell. But most of the waters, then the bottled waters, are not bioavailable. They don't have the right vibration. They don't have the right energy as nature intended water to be. And so we drink the water, but it sort of passes through us. And so even though we think we're hydrated, we're not quite hydrated. And then that's why basically you're not sweating as much. And that's really why part of our protocol is to drink that 8 to 10 ounces before sauna, because then I know you have enough water in your system at that moment to actually promote the sweating. And so dehydration is the number one reason. The second is what you pointed out, where your pores might be clogged. And then you can dry brush towards your heart is one way, or use a loofah sponge in the shower or the bath and to take that dead skin off. And usually after that, and just a few sessions in sauna, and you open up that detox pathway, which you suggested, you start sweating like you've never sweated before. And I mean, I laugh at myself because I've been doing sauna almost every day for close to 20 years. And right now, when I walk past that portable sauna that sits in the middle of my living room, I start to perspire. I don't even have to get in it. It's like a Pavlovian response.
I was going to say. So I was going to say Pavlov's dog. You're like already trained to do that.
Yeah. So, but even though you're not sweating, it's still stirring up the pond. It's still liberating toxins, and it's still initiating the other detox filtering mechanisms in your body. And don't worry, don't sweat if you're not sweating, especially in the beginning. And frankly, I use that as a barometer because that 30 minutes is interesting to me. 8 minutes for the average adult to get enough frequency to start things going for them. So most people, when they first get our sauna, they don't start sweating until the last 10 minutes. So they're in for 20, and the last 10, they start to perspire. And what I've noticed is that the more you're using it, the less toxic you are. Your initiation of when you start to sweat starts to come down, meaning that you start sweating at 20 minutes in, and then all of a sudden you're sweating after 15 minutes. And then then you're sweating after 10 minutes. And so it's a little barometer or a dial, a way for you to calibrate exactly how toxic you are and exactly how active your detox pathways are. So if you sweat at a faster pace or earlier pace, it's a really good sign that you're less toxic, and that's your goal, or one of your goals, I believe.
This is a really good question. So Anna's asking about, what about saline-filled or silicone breast implants that are older than 20 years old? Can I use the sauna? I've heard it's not recommended to heat the implants because they can start leaking.
It's a really good question, and it's a challenge, honestly. If it's a newer implant, there's two kinds of implants. The augmentation, it could be above the muscle. Let's say if it's a breast augmentation, it could be above the muscle or underneath. If it's underneath, then the frequencies are coming to the muscle first, and that's what we want. Because the infrared frequencies, they bioresonate, and they actually harbor in your organs and your muscle tissue. So that's where they wind up going, and that's what creates that bioresonance effect and that vasodilation, because it's warming up those very vascular parts of your body. So if you have an implant that's under the muscle gets the frequency first. That's great. If the implant is above the muscle, because it's latex, remember, latex and silicone are the two things that filter, sorry, because it's silicone. The latex and silicone are the two materials that will actually filter the frequencies. So if it's a silicone implant and it's above the muscle, then the frequency may not penetrate as deeply in that area of your body. So that's the deal there. Now, an older implant may start leaking on its own, not even have anything to do with the infrared sauna. I don't believe that the sauna is going to promote more leaking per se, but if in fact you do have an implant that is leaking, the sauna is going to be a good way to get some of that material that is leaking into your bloodstream that doesn't belong there out. That's the first thing. And those people might want to consider actually either changing or having those implants taken out because of that reason.
Yeah, I used to have breast implants. I had them removed about 4 years ago. And what I would do is I would wear a really thick bra, and I found that my breast tissue would not heat up when I wore like a really thick bra. So that's what I use, so that I could still get the benefits of sauna, but still protected the implants from heating up at the same time. I find that worked. And I think the benefits of sauna use far outweigh avoiding a sauna if you have breast implants, because those implants are leaking toxins in you anyway. And they are heating up if you go on a jacuzzi or take a really hot shower or what have you. So in my opinion, the benefits far outweigh just, avoiding a sauna. If you have implants, just wear a thick bra. I think that helps. And so we have a few more minutes here. We've been here for 3 hours. It's been a really long time. It's been amazing, but we do have to cut things off here in a couple minutes. So I'm really sorry. So we're trying to get to as many questions as we can. So the next best question I think that would appeal to the most people is weight loss. So through what biological mechanism does a sauna burn calories? And somebody else asked, how many calories do you burn in an infrared sauna session?
Great question. It's terrific for weight loss, natural, weight loss, meaning if you didn't change your diet or your exercise schedule, your lifestyle per se, and you just added 30 minutes of sauna every day, you'll probably burn, it does vary from person to person based on their body metabolism, but I would think something conservatively, maybe between 400 and 500 calories. I have seen everything up to 1,000 calories. I think people are getting a little bit excited when they make claims like that. So if you've got a very active metabolism, then I think you could, in a half hour, get as much as maybe 500 to 700 in that range calories burned. That quicker metabolism, remember earlier we talked about afterburn. If you really want to stretch that weight loss experience, then try not to jump in the shower right away and get that, allow your metabolism to really move at a faster pace. You can increase your metabolism somewhere between 15 and 20%, which is very significant. But how that translates in the average person is probably like 2.5 to 3 pounds a month. And then, of course, if you're exercising and doing other things, you know, and or paying particular attention to the kinds of foods that you're eating that complement sauna and weight loss, then you really can 10x or really dial up and accelerate that weight loss. But you know, we stay away from sort of fad diet related diets that create like a little yo-yo, you know, where you lose the weight, then you go off the diet and gain it back. If you did sauna consistently, and we've had real-time life experiences with personnel that we've gifted saunas to that have had, you know, in 3.5 to 4 months, one of our key employees lost close to 40 pounds. And, you know, it's significant, but it's not a fast process. It's a slow and steady process. But remember, you get a lot more, there's a lot more benefits than just the weight loss. So even if you're going for weight loss, you're going to get all those other benefits along with it. It's not just exclusive to weight loss, which is amazing because there's just so many things, Wendy. I mean, we could talk for days on all the great benefits of sauna, but it's great for weight loss. And with that's going to come better concentration, better energy, better sleep. So, I mean, you know, you could start going for one thing, but find yourself getting a whole cascade of great benefits.
How many times a week would you recommend if someone's trying to lose weight? And I noticed on the Biggest Loser, all the people that win use infrared saunas to try to accelerate their weight loss, hint, hint. But how many times a week do you recommend for, you know, increasing weight loss?
Well, you know, it's super important to me, particularly when I'm talking and coaching customers and patients, that I try to develop a program or a profile that fits their lifestyle. Like, for instance, we had a guy that was a truck driver. He called us a couple of weeks ago and he said, Robbie, you're telling me that the best time to do is in the morning, but I hit the road at like almost 4:35. I get up at 4 to get ready to travel. I can't get up at 3 to do the sauna. It's just not possible. So for me to tell him and mandate that you have to do it before you go out, you know, on the road, it's crazy because he'll wind up not doing it because it's too far away from his normal routine. And so I said to him, Joe, what is good for you? He goes, well, I get home around 6 o'clock, have my dinner. Usually I sit back, watch the news. I said, well, let's wait a few minutes till after you digest your food and do sauna then. We'll do your detox then. So we try to fit it in so it fits into your lifestyle. And so, you know, ideally, I'd like you to use it every day, honestly, because we get toxic every day. But in the beginning, particularly if you're a little bit more fragile, you're an older person, or you've got really symptomatic, we start off low and slow. It might mean a couple of days a week. And then when we can, we add another day in. But you know what we found, which is really interesting to me, that for the doctors that recommend it and pair it with their protocols, their current protocols, it really improves patient compliance. Because let's say if you're taking a supplement and you know all about supplements and nutrition, it takes a little longer for a nutritional program or profile will start to show itself in your physiology, usually. Now, if you're taking a sauna, which will help actually potentiate or improve the absorption of your good food or your nutrition, even your medications, right? It'll help improve that. If you're on that profile, then you're going to start to get a reaction much faster. And so then you start to think, even if you don't think of it actively, the doctor recommended sauna and they also recommended nutrition, and the sauna is making me feel so good. Boy, if he's right on that, he's got to be right on this. And so they actually stay on their nutritional program a lot longer, which is better. So patient compliance is up like 80% because they're pairing up the two things, you know? And so, you know, what I want to do is develop a profile or an approach that best serves everybody's lifestyle, their individuality. And even like you said about even your own experience, every time you use it, you feel good. So, you know, like when you feel good, you want to do things that make you feel good. So the more you use it, the better you feel. The better you feel, the more you want to use it. And so we can start off at 2 days a week or 3 days a week, but ultimately, usually after a couple of 3 weeks or 4 weeks, if you can, you start doing it every day. And really, that's where you get the most benefit.